There we go, right? Yo, what's up? It's your boy L7. Today I got a very special guest. Oh my goodness, yeah, Israel from Big Talk, Little Talk, yeah. Now, I've been following this guy, since the Tulsi campaign. That's when I kind of was looking for other content producers producing Tulsi content. And I always noticed that he had a unique look to his materials, and I always respected that. I like that. I like his takes, yeah. And throughout the whole time, I've been pretty super involved. That all of my watchers know how hardcore of a Tulsi fan I am. And the thing is that I've seen a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and I've seen how they've evolved right through this whole campaign process. And Israel's evolution has been actually one of the most interesting, right? With the Tulsi when she dropped out, he said that he was going to vote for Biden, right? And that makes sense, right? Yeah, if you take a look at from a lot of people are purists out there, and I get that too, right? But if you do the math, if you've been in the game for as long as me, right, the reality, right? Yeah, is that the numbers, right? If you're down by 50 points in a football game and there's 1 minute left, right, and then you're not betting on the team 50 points up, like, come on, what I mean? It's just common sense. So, but some people just don't look at all the information. But this has been super interesting to me because a lot of us longtime activists understand that, right? You got to put a lot of time into the game. You see people 5 years later, 10 years later, you see how your actions developed, yeah? And you're more willing to have this conversation with others, which I think that Israel is really willing to do more than others. And also, he's come to some unique conclusions, right? As in terms of your recent support for, now you said you're voting for Trump, right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Hey, man, respect, man. Yeah, it's not easy to take that path. A lot of people, it's easy to take the status quo. That takes some balls to go up and take a stand like that. So I respect that, man. So tell me, how does someone like yourself, right, who doesn't have, you don't have a lot of like street activism experience, right?
No, I don't have any street activism experience per se. I mean, I've done a little work for Bernie Sanders in 2016. Did some work for Tulsi's campaign this time around. My political voting stuff has been all over the map.
Okay.
So just because I don't buy into these arbitrary lines, people get so kind of rooted in one thing or the other. And, when you do that, to me, it's no different than some of these extremist people because they isolate themselves further and further and they see everybody as their enemy or somebody trying to threaten or, call into question their principles. And that could be very unhealthy, it's very unhealthy to do that. And I see that with like extremist progressives and all kinds of stuff. And it just, when I start seeing that, I don't really, there's no disrespect there. People will do their work. Some people are very passionate. That's fine. But that's just not who I am. I understand that in America, we're ruled by the average,
Yeah.
People have to get consensus and build coalitions to be successful. And that is how people are successful in this country.
That's a very mature, and it's a very have you ever owned a business or something like that?
Well, I've tried to do like small businesses, startups, so I have been in that kind of entrepreneurial world as well. Been in the military world, very close with that kind of thing. And so you have to understand that when you're building something, that can be very helpful as well. Having that kind of background and understanding that compromises are just, you're never going to get your way. Not all the time, because especially in a country like this, we're not homogenous. I'm Hispanic, you come from Korea. So we're not, we've lived different life experiences, you and I.
Yeah.
So what you value as highly important to you, perhaps I don't value, because not only do we come from different backgrounds, different families, but we're in different parts of the country.
How did you did you
Yeah,
ever do you have any leadership experience, or were there certain things that you saw that led you to these conclusions? Because most people can only focus on what they want. They don't really take this macro view, like step back approach and see, what's really good for society, what's good overall, right? They're just focused on this is right, this is wrong. What's giving you that ability to step back and take that perspective?
It's a mutual respect, it's like a mutual respect thing. I think you grow as a person and you realize these kind of things. I can't teach anybody these things. I can talk about them, but I can't teach people these kind of things.
One of the things that I felt that made me hyper aware to these types of situations is being Asian American. A lot of times we're left out of the conversation, or a lot of times people don't really actually recognize what happens to us. Would you say that maybe being, you have a Latino background? Am I correct?
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of times you guys are also left out of the conversation. Would you feel
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
maybe that made you like maybe a little bit more aware of, certain hypocrisies or certain, the fact that, even though people are fighting for the right things, right, that they're still forgetting certain other populations. Is,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you see like the Black Lives Matter movement, they want to talk about people of color, but it's all mostly about black lives. It's never about, Korean lives or, the struggles that they go through. Why? Because most Korean people or most people from, Asia, they come here, they start businesses. They're all about capital. They're all about, doing something valuable for them. And that doesn't always align with the black community. Or it doesn't always align with the Hispanic community. People from the Hispanic community, they come here to start a better life. Whereas black people feel like that has never been there for them. So, this idea that they're fighting for my rights, sure, that could be the messaging that they have, but only I can fight for my rights. Only you can fight for what you value. And so at the end of the day, it's about coming together as different groups and finding common ground and shared values, right?
yeah,
This is something that the liberal Democrats understood very well, and which is why when Howard Dean took over the Democratic Party, he initiated a 50-state strategy. Why do you think that the Democrats are so close to Republicans right now in Texas, Georgia, these places where they should never be this close? It's because they understood you have to show up to the room. If there's
yeah.
one thing that I would tell people is if you're not in the room, it's a losing fight. You're never going to get anything. Imagine if Edward Snowden wasn't in the CIA. Imagine if lefty Edward Snowden, who's held up as a leftist hero staple, who has those leftist values, who liked Bernie Sanders. Imagine if he never enlisted in the military or he never joined the Central Intelligence Agencies to leak all the information that we have. Somebody has to be in that room. Okay?
Yeah.
So people want to say, you're a Republican. I share values with the Republican Party. Tulsi Gabbard shares values with the Republican Party. Civil liberties. She works with Justin Amash. She works with, people in Congress that are on the opposite side of her.
So, look, I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of critics out there who's hating on the big talk, little talk, right? How can we help them to understand, right? What don't they get about like trying to get in? Like, I agree with you, right? Yeah, like just from years and years of on the ground, right? That's what you fighting for. You fighting to get in that room, you know what I mean? So when they shut all the doors down, you're like, oh my God, please, I get where you're coming from, but you guys are hurting us. You know what I mean? To a certain extent, yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I listen to people,
Yeah.
like, I can have debates. I can argue with people and say, well, this is where I'm coming from, and I understand where you're coming from. I'm not showing up to convince anybody because that's not the role I play.
One thing that I want to just interject here, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is the thing is that okay, I like Jack Welch. He says you want to be number one or number two in your category. Yeah. And for me, Big Talk, Little Talk is number one in the Tulsi category as in terms of encouraging discussion. When I joined up with Israel, right? Yeah, he told me about something called Power Anthem Network. No other channels occasionally, right, will have like they get together for panels. Every week, this guy puts together different YouTubers. No other Tulsi channel is doing this really on a regular basis like this. Yeah, this is the type of innovation that we need. You know what I mean? And honestly, I love it, man. Yeah, and maybe not other people are talking, but I'm watching and I'm recognizing, man. I love Power Anthem Network, and also I don't need to organize everything. I was like, Power Anthem Network is already better than what I'm trying to do. I want to be, I like what you guys so far. It's been going great, man. I've been super impressed, man. Props to you. Okay, I'll let you continue on. I just wanted to mention that for the viewers. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. And most of what I do isn't like my job. So I just kind of do it because I'm a curious person. So, I have friends who are conservatives. I have friends who are all the way in the alt-right and further right. I have friends who are legit communists. I have friends who, consider themselves part of Antifa. I have religious people, Muslim people, people of all kinds of different backgrounds. And I think the biggest reason that I'm able to get along with these groups is because the approach that I take is more of a active listener. I want to understand where somebody's coming from. And when I understand, the different paths that people take, it makes more sense to me that our country it works as slow as it does. A lot of activists, they want things to accelerate. They want things to happen fast for them. but they don't understand they're a small marginal group in this country. And even though they see polling that shows, oh, people want this, people want that, that's not always the case when people are in the real world. Yeah. When people are in the real world, it's what's most important to them in the now. And a lot of times for most Americans, it's keeping bread on the table. It's, retaining their job and their way of life. And so those are some priorities that, realistically people have.
How have you been able to stay out of the echo chamber? Because a lot of our friends, you know what I mean? They're all in this echo chamber. They do not know, right?
Talk to people.
Because I'm on this, that's what street organizers know, right? Street organizers know because we're on the streets talking to people. So we see what people actually, right? We're not in the echo chamber thinking everybody thinks like this. How do you, right, get to interact with, is it just like your daily day-to-day operations? You talk with people, or maybe it's your day job. How are you getting this perspective that I feel like a lot of our, I'm not even gonna say the word comrades, our friends, right, in this movement, yeah? How do you get the perspective that they didn't get it? What do you think?
I don't know if they didn't get it. I just think that, these people are passionate, right? Like maybe I'm passionate about cars and I'm super obsessed with like Chevy vehicles and that's just everything that I do.
Yeah.
So, and so people just get really passionate. And so with me, with politics, I've really liked Bush. I've advocated for, I've gone down different rabbit holes from the left to the right and different things like that. I just try not to take it as serious as a lot of people do. You can't take things that serious. Yeah. I think you just have to look, if you want to convince somebody, you have to become their friend. Yeah. Because over time, that's how it works. People don't just change because you tell them they're wrong. What if I came up to you and said, nah, see all that DJ stuff you're doing, that's wrong. You're not supposed to do it that way. Who am I? But if I'm your friend and you know that I'm not coming from a bad place, or bad faith, then you might start like, okay, I'll take some stuff into consideration. And that's kind of how convincing somebody works, in my opinion. So it's just been about like having friends from different groups. Being in the military, you experience that. You have white friends, you have black friends, you have Muslim friends, you have friends from Asia, you have friends from India, you have friends from all over the place, right? And if you're a person who's curious and open, then you're going to listen. And the more you listen, you realize, specifically when it comes to politics, everyone thinks they're right. Yeah. Okay? So how do you get people who think they're all right and you're wrong, or that person's wrong, or that person's wrong it's just it's not that simple.
Yeah. Now, I like that. Yeah. Now, the thing is that a lot of people will make like these artificial rules, right? Because they feel overwhelmed, right? Yeah. It's going to be funny. Yeah. Like sometimes, like I'll just take females. Like, I always got females on the mind, right? Yeah. Females have a lot of dudes interested in them. So they got to put up artificial barriers like, oh, this dude's 6 foot, whatever. Yeah. Like, because they've spoiled for choice, right? I'm not mad at that, right? So the thing is that, when you are putting your idea forth, right? How do you make sure that you don't artificially, right? People are making like artificial rules for you, right? Oh, well, why do people, right? So I've even heard like people call you neolib, which honestly, I don't think that's true at all, right? Yeah. What has been their criteria for classifying? They took one thing. What's that one thing, right? You're against regime change wars. You're for, equalizing out income, right? How does that make you a neolib? I don't understand, right? Do you even
Well, I
understand?
think that people, it's easier to just say, well, this person sold out than to confront, the actual context of the situation.
And they'll do it based off of one issue. Well, maybe actually sometimes repeated issues, but like that's true too. But sometimes they just pick like one issue and like nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? Why are they so hardline, and why are you maybe a little bit more accepting?
I don't know. You really have to ask those people, but I can only control what I do. And what I try to do is just have these discussions, right? And things that people don't get into, right? Like, why did the left lose its faith? Like, faith organizations used to be the hub of organizing protests, labor rights. MLK was a deep man of faith. And now only and I think like 60% of Democrats are like atheists or non-religious, according to some Pew Research. And that all went to the right. And guess what happened when the left wasn't there in the shadows? When they left it to the Republicans, you had prosperity gospel, rise. This is like ultra capitalist style of churching, right? You have all these things where poor people are going to these churches, losing their money, and these pastors are preaching politics from the pulpit. That was never supposed to be how it was, right? And now you have a diminishing socialist type of, churches who do the, harboring of immigrants, who help people in need around the world and stuff like that. So these, so tackling those kind of discussions, and I'm not saying I'm right all the time, but I'm willing to have that on my channel and present that, and I try to do it in a fun way. As far as like going all over the place, I don't see any problem with that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let people define what my politics is. If I want to like the Republicans this election cycle because I feel like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and I want to endorse Donald Trump because I think that the media and all kinds of military industrial complex people are lining up against Trump, I'd rather see Trump win than to give those media outlets, more power. Social media, more control over censoring people. If you're a Nazi or you believe in white supremacy, that's your problem. Okay, something is driving you to the extremes. Perhaps it's the erosion of the family unit. These people are misguided children. Why do you think when we grew up in the streets, you had Bloods, you had Crips, you had Latin Kings, right? There's parallels between political extremist groups and gangs and the cartel, right? When you don't have a strong family base, you're going to look for that somewhere else in a gang. You're going to look for that in political extremes. This is why you have Antifa. This is why you have the Proud Boys. This is why you have all this kind of flooding our culture right now, is because, there's something deeper in these people that has affected them. Poverty. There's all these kinds of things. And when you actually dig deeper into people's thinking, you see that they share some things, right? Right-wing extremist people, they have a deep resentment towards the government. And so do left-wing extremist people. So there are things that these people can get along in, but there is surface level divisions that they fall for. And it's almost like, you said people call me neoliberal. These extremist groups, these people who like pander on Twitter and things like that, they're the puppets of these neoliberals. They would love nothing better than to see that division across the board.
That is so. Yeah, you see exactly to the point. Yeah, for real. That's God's truth right there. That's why I'm so like happy I met you, man. Yeah, exactly what you do on Friday nights. Yeah, one thing that's BTLT, right? Yeah. On the channel right there, you could see a variety of people. Sometimes I'm on there. There's a whole bunch of different people on there. And I'm so proud that look, the Tulsi movement is very small, but within the Tulsi movement, I hear it like from a lot of key people again and again, right? We understand that it's really about a future building a movement by and for the people and of the people. And I love that. Yeah. And keeping things open and not shutting people out. Yeah. That's really where this needs to go. So right now, BTLT, he's getting my full endorsement. I hope if you guys are subscribed to me, look, we kind of do a lot of content together, so you probably already subscribed to him. But if you haven't, I'm keep growing all the time, talking to new people all the time. You guys need to subscribe to this guy. He's a cool guy, and he's one of my favorite. I watch his stuff on a regular basis. I'm always commenting on his videos. I really do watch his stuff, man. Yeah, that's.
And I'll just say, if you're an activist, it takes more than just being on the streets. It takes courage. Courage to put on a badge for the New York Police Department and step in that room and say, you know what, I might be the first, I might get all the arrows in my heart, and I might be the one that falls for this, but I'm going to leave the door open for more lefty-leaning people who do see a problem with the police department. Go join your police department. Go join go do what you feel like the system is, there's problems in a system, go and join that system, because only when you're in the room will your voice be heard.
I love that so much. That's actually why I was working to become a doctor, because I saw how my poor friends got treated, not because I wanted to make it, not because I wanted the money. I really didn't. I didn't give a fuck at that point, right?
It only takes one person, Edward Stone, and it only takes one person to expose the big problems in a big systemic department.
You're damn right. Yeah. So look, I pretty much said what I want to say. I really got across what I want to cross, like, this guy, yourself, right? And, but there's still one little, extra twist here too, right? Yeah. The evolution of your ideas from, saying that first you're going to support Biden, now you're supporting Trump. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
I'd like to kind of like, that's kind of like a radical departure, but there's quite a few people in the Tulsi land who have switched to Trump as well. And also, I don't really see anybody covering that. I would love to cover more of y'all people. Hit me up. Right? Y'all are a significant community out there, because I'm out there talking to people and I know what's up. Help me understand, right? And I think it's completely reasonable, by the way. I don't hate anybody for voting for Biden, Trump, or anybody else. Yeah. But I think you have a very reasonable and understanding take, and I'm with it, man. What's your reason?
Yeah, so if I could explain it, I'll just say, I did start endorsing Tulsi Gabbard. I like Tulsi Gabbard, By the way, I supported, Bernie Sanders. I supported, Andrew Yang. I thought these candidates, reflected something good on the left side of politics. So I promoted that. I also liked Donald Trump because he stood up to his establishment when he ran. Now, these politicians are imperfect, and you should never hedge your bets on one politician. Like I said, you should be in the room. Go to your city council meetings. If you're there, it's a lot harder for them to pass dirty laws that are going to put your grandma in jeopardy and raise her prices for drug medicine. You be there and you show them your face. Look them in the eye when they do the votes. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, look, when I was advocating for Biden, I like playing the devil's advocate. I like trying to get people who are in these extreme thought processes to say, okay, why is it that most of my, Democrats, and these people don't accept Democrats as left. So they're getting rid of an entire swath of people, a monolith. They don't like to be monolith. I'm black, but don't put me in a box. But you, as a black leftist socialist, are putting all these Democrats into a monolith. These are your grandmothers. These are your aunts. These are your uncles. These are your boomer uncles who you're closer to. You're not closer to the Republican down south in Kentucky who's waving a Trump flag alongside a Confederate flag. These are the people who are actually closer to you, and this is how villainizing you are towards them, that you jump onto the internet and you blast and you blast and you put out these videos and you blast and you blast and you go after these leaderships, which is fine. That's great. But I've seen a lot of hostility there, and that's something that the right wing understands. Voting, you vote strategically. You don't vote with your heart. Voting is a tool. That's all it is. I can keep my morals. I can believe in Medicare for all and vote for Donald Trump. Don't tell me what I am. I tell myself and I put out there what I am. So, you can't kind of listen to the haters or anything like that. You have to be everywhere, man. You have to influence everything. The Republican Party, you think that it's too far right and it's dragging leftist groups like the Democratic Party to the right, to the point where you don't even recognize the Democratic Party, then get involved in the Democratic Party. Change the Democratic Party. You don't like AOC being the lead of that? Then confront her, run against her, raise money, talk to organizations, talk to people like Ed to get on the phones and be warriors and go out there and do stuff like that. But that's not what's happening right now. And it's disappointing. And that's just kind of where I feel like I fit in, is just to kind of, in a satirical way, just kind of bring these things up, play devil's advocate. Maybe I do a whole piece on Christianity and religion. I don't have any faith. I wouldn't say I'm an atheist, but that's not my angle. But I want to bring that to the surface and talk about it, right? And kind of bring those topics up. As far as Donald Trump, I feel like I touched on that a little bit, right? I went from Tulsi Gabbard to kind of talking to leftists and saying, it's really interesting and weird. I'm curious. I'm scratching at this, right? Saying, okay, well, if I'm a Democrat, why wouldn't you vote for Joe Biden? Joe Biden says this, and that. Oh, well, he's a liar. Okay, you think he's a liar. Well, he has Bernie in the room. He has these people. Oh, well, they're sellouts. Okay, now you're further isolated. Now you're inching further and further away from the big group, right? The normies. You're the people who actually vote and if you were to convince them to your side, would be able to kind of help you make your beliefs come to fruition.
Yeah.
So now you're isolating yourself further and further away. Okay, now Jimmy Dore, my favorite commentator, is arguing against Anna Kasparian at TYT. So now that divide continues to split, right? And so I feel like sometimes that's like a self-defeating prophecy. You're prophesizing and allowing to come to fruition these people who you demonize and you don't like. Their agenda is going to be there. Why? Because they're in the room.
Yeah.
Okay? They're in the room and they understand that I'm going to be in the room with somebody I don't like, a liberal, a Biden, a Harris, but I'm in the room so I get to voice my opinion. And I'm not voicing it to Biden. I'm not voicing it to Harris. I'm voicing it to the Democratic constituency, which makes up 20 million, I don't know, an insane amount of people who are Democrats, who might be progressives, who like Bernie Sanders. You're just going to abandon those people. That seems kind of self-defeating to me.
Yeah, it's actually over 44 mil. Yeah. About some numbers say 42, but actually the numbers have climbed. But yeah, man, that's would you actually classify your vote for Trump as maybe a protest vote?
No, because I do hold conservative values, and that's why I didn't really go full Bernie Sanders, because, I like the states' rights. I like the civil liberties. Socialists have not articulated to me how they fit a United States model that respects some of the foundational things that helped us get Abraham Lincoln in office, helped us pass the Emancipation Proclamation, freed the slaves, ended segregation, had the ability to have free states for slaves to run to. So states' rights, the Constitution, the things that protect me against the government. Socialists have not articulated to me how they do that in an American fashion. They keep quoting Bolivia. I'm not a Bolivian citizen. I have no idea what goes on over there, what kind of culture they have. I'm not a European citizen of the European Union. I don't know, or of the Nordic countries of Norway. I don't know any of those people. I have no relation to that. And so you have to articulate to me the American version of that. And I think that until they do that, they're going to keep coming up short. And so that's kind of why I kind of lean more towards Tulsi Gabbard, because she had, I feel like, more of an American conception, right? An American plan that seemed to fit with our values, respecting all the different groups that we are. I want, Korean advocates to be able to, get the ear of their congresspeople and so on and so forth. I don't want just socialists to run my government, and I do understand that business has a corrupting influence. So I'm with them on that. So tell me what issue and we can discuss. Don't try to put me and say, you voted for Trump, conservative. I can't even fly with you. Talk to some conservatives, they're very anti-government. So, they don't like Facebook infringing on, Convo Couch or whoever, or YouTube infringing on them, or, censoring Jacobin and all this other stuff. A lot of them, when you talk to them, they don't like that stuff.
I want to invite right now all the Charles. It's been a while since I've seen you. Come back on the BTLT talk on Fridays. I want to see you come back. I want to shout out at Reed. I want to shout at Trumpers for Yang. I want to shout out at everybody. Right wing, right? We want to start bringing you on. We want to hear from everybody. I love that. Yeah. You my boy, man. Love you to death,
all right, man.
Yeah?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for bringing this movement where it needs to be, man. There's too many people that are just taking the easy route of just pointing and condemning, but it's hard to build that put it together, these different weird pieces. So you're a fucking inspiration, man. Keep it fucking up, man. Yeah, and all the haters, too, man, fuck them. You know what I mean? You're still cool. I ain't hating you, but Big Talk Little Talk is the fucking man. Watch his channel. God bless. All right. See you guys on the next one.
Brother.
Thanks. No doubt.
All
right. I just hit stop.
It's a dark day in our nation when high-level authorities will seek to use every method to silence dissent. The truth must be told.
And if you want the truth, you need to check out independent media producers just like myself, DJ L7. You should subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release a new video.
The truth of these
we
words
are on all
is
the
beyond
major
doubt.
platforms. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Unfortunately, we have definitely seen that these mainstream outlets will cave to corporate interests, so we encourage you to join our independently moderated communities of Reddit and Discord. We also encourage you to subscribe to us on BitChute and Daily Motion so you can see the content that YouTube doesn't want us to let you see. Hey, now it's time for the most important part of the video. That's right. It's time for us to tell you about the Taking Action Group. Do you need an activist? Or maybe there's no activists around willing to help you with your cause and you need to learn to become an activist. That's exactly why we're here. Every week we get up with people from across the nation, in fact even sometimes internationally, and we develop strategies and a game plan to address the issues that are affecting all of us. Every week myself from New York City and of course my co-host Lisa from Los Angeles provide a coast-to-coast perspective on what's going on in the country. If you want to donate to help out with expenses, travel, equipment, stuff like that, then I definitely appreciate it, and you can hit us off at Venmo or PayPal. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, we also have a merch store, so check it out. Oh my goodness, it seems like you've reached the end of the video, so make sure you check out some of our other videos, make sure you subscribe. This is your last chance to do so thanks a lot, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment below if you have any questions or issues you'd like me to address. And if you're an activist, the time to make things happen is now.